Samsung, this is Shreya from Samaya. Now we'll discuss about CA Inter monetary limits. It consists of all monetary limits in the audit syllabus. Just go through this PDF just the day before the examination and you're good to go for that. And you'll get this PDF in the Telegram channel. The link is in the description below. And do share it with your friends. And first, with no delay, we'll move on with the monetary limits. You see, shares should not be issued at a discount. If they were issued, they'll be liable for a penalty. If the officer in default, then what? The amount equal to the amount raised through issue of shares at a discount. That is all the amount. That's not the premium amount. That's not the discount amount that was penalty. It is the amount that was raised is the penalty, or a 5 lakh rupees, whichever is lower. And if it's a company, it is liable to refund all monies received with interest at a rate of 12%. It's liable to refund monies with the interest rate of 12% per annum from the date of issue of shares to the persons whom the shares were issued. Till that day, this is with regards to the penalties, liabilities, with regards to when shares were issued at a discount. This is the penalties for that. And with regards to rounding off provisions, if a company is having total income less than 100 CR, then it could be rounded off to the nearest hundreds, thousands, lakhs, millions, or decimal thereof. And moreover, if the total income is 100 CR or more, if it touches 100 CR, then the rounding off should be is minimum lakhs, not hundreds or thousands. Minimum lakhs and decimals thereof. And with regards to the disqualifications of auditors, we know that the relative of the auditor should not hold more than 1 lakh. That is, till 1 lakh, okay, no problem. The face value is still 1 lakh, no problem. If it exceeds 1 lakh, then the auditor has to make corrective actions within 60 days. And the same with regards to the indebtedness. Indebtedness is excess of 5 lakhs. That is still 5 lakhs, no problem. If it is exceeding 5 lakhs, then the auditor is disqualified. And even the guarantee till 1 lakh, no problem. In excess of 1 lakh, the auditor is disqualified. And with regards to the disqualifications of auditor, the 20 company limit was there, right? But that does not include the 20 limit companies, do not include OPC, dormant company, and small companies, and a private company having paid up share capital less than 100 CR. If it touches 100 CR, then that is added in the 20 companies list threshold limit. If it touches 100 CR, if it is less than 100 CR, then those were not included in the 20 company limit. Even the same thing as like here also for the lakhs one, rounding off also, if it touches 100 CR, it has to be done in the lakhs. Rounding off has to be done in the lakhs. And with regards to that, with regards to the casual vacancy provision, it has to be, the board has to fill the casual vacancy of the auditor, whether it be LLP auditor, cost auditor, any auditor. They has to be complied within, they have to fill the casual vacancy within 30 days. But if they do not do that, so then in case of the failure, the auditor shall be liable for a penalty for a 50,000. If that casual vacancy is through resignation, what the auditor has to do, he has to inform the registrar in form 883. If had not done that, auditor shall be liability for a penalty. You see, what's the difference between penalty and a fine? Fine is something that you pay to the court when court was involved. Penalty is something act that is paid to the central government. So you have to pay a penalty of, auditor has to pay penalty of 50,000 or the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less. You see, why I haven't given the monetary limits here is that even if I write like 50,000 rupees or remuneration, whichever is lower, I might waste the space. You see, numbers were something that were picture memory. They were not something like a song or so. It is mostly based on the picture memory. So it is better to take a printout of it. It's available in the Telegram channel. Take a printout of it and write in what all the numbers you like. If I could write 50, 50, it depends upon your image perception. How do you remember? You write it in this column so that you'll remember that most efficient. You see, icai only tests how you have written in the examination, what the correct amount is. So make sure you do more effort with regards to remembering of the penalties. You see, we cannot remember penalties and all such things because a lot of mnemonics have been you have read, but don't remember audit with regards to mnemonics, because audit is mostly like a behavioral science where you have to in most of the situations, like 80 to 85%, you have to write how the auditor should respond or how the auditor should report. So don't or you see, mnemonics is mostly like straight to straight direct question. You cannot remember, you cannot do that. So you see, don't try to remember audit based on mnemonics, but something, but instead of remembering mnemonics, like how well, okay, if you have studied on the mnemonics, how well have you retrieved that? You see, mnemonics is like something you're remembering from out of the box, from nowhere. There's a high chance that you would just mess up with the mnemonics, right? So don't remember audit with regards to mnemonics. Instead, put that efforts in the penalties like this, the picture memorization and all. In future, we'll try to put or increase most eye-catching, uh, eye-catching like PDFs and all for you to remember the penalties and all. But as of now, due to time constraint, we have just summed up the time limits or monetary limits here, and you could do that so, and or try to just write in a way that you remember this instead of putting your effort with regards to mnemonics, which is you could write by understanding. Try to put some efforts with regards to remembering the time limits, because they also contain some marks in the MCQs and all. You see, giving a 2 marks for this and overall a 6 marks would change our result, right? So that's why instead of mnemonics, try to put some effort here in remembering the penalties. It is not so highly impossible to remember, as we have linked the this here, and with regards to here of the 100 CR, right? Since all the confusions happen between the borders, so you have to remember some extra effort. All wars happen at the borders, right? So in exam, we'll get confused if they have given 100 crores, whether it would be included in 20 companies or not. If you haven't linked with this kind of thing 2 to 3 times, you find there were lesser number of things to memorize, and you could just print it in your mind very well. And with regards to that, about coming back to the penalty here, auditor has to pay 50,000 or remuneration, whichever it is, in case of a continuing failure. What is continuing failure? Is something an penalty which was led until you obey that, until you obey the rule or fulfill the obligation that you have filed. What is your obligation here? To file the form 883. This continuing failure will be applicable to you. Have to pay penalty for that, 500 per day, till you comply with that provision, subject to a maximum 200 lakhs rupees. You see, this is a plus here. You have to, since you have not filed 83, you have to pay the penalty of 50,000 or the remuneration, whichever is less, plus since it's a continuing failure, till you comply, there would be a 500 rupees per day, subject to a maximum 2 lakh rupees. So that's with regard to the continuing failure. And with regards to fraud, is why we have given is for the 1 CR monetary limit here. If it is less than 1 CR, you need not report to central government. If it is 1 CR and above, 1 CR is included, 1 CR and above, then central government you have to report. And if you haven't reported, and if it's a listed a company, then the penalty is 5 lakhs. If it's unlisted public company or any other company, the penalty is 1 lakh rupees. This fraud reporting is applicable to even cost auditor and a secretarial auditor also. If they're listed, 5 lakh rupees penalty. If it's unlisted or any other than listed company, it is penalty of 1 lakh rupees. And with regards to the CARO applicability, and why we have given CARO applicability is here for the private limited companies limits. Private company limits is that a private company limit not being a subsidiary of any holding of a public company, having paid up share capital and reserves and surplus. You see, this is why you have to take calculator for your audit exam. Don't mistake that you have to not take calculator for the Caro applicability or something other else for the quorum calculations, etc. Paid up capital plus reserves and surplus not more than 1 year also on the balance sheet date, that is less than 1 year or equal to 1 year, no problem. That is, if it's included 1 year, the Caro is not applicable, and which does not have total borrowings exceeding 1 crore rupees, that is until 1 year, no Caro is applicable, and its turnover does not exceed 10 crore, including the total, including the discontinuing operations, it does not exceed 10 crore. I have forgot to given here. It's 10 crore. Then Caro is not applicable. See, 147 section is with regards to punishments from the contravention of section 139 to 146. If a company, the company had contravened, then fine should be not less than 25,000, but which may be extended to 25 lakh rupees if they have contravened these provisions. And for the every officer in default shall be punishable with a fine which shall not have less than 10,000 rupees, which may be extended to 1 lakh rupees. Till now, we have seen all penalties. Now, under section 147, this is all the fines that they were putting on. So, make a note over it. If the auditor, where company contravenes any provision with regards to 139, 144, or 145, and he shall be punishable with a fine which is not less than 25,000 rupees, which may be extended to 5 lakh rupees, or 4 times the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less. And it's mostly with regards to the imprisonment, and with regards to that, make a note out of it. And reporting requirement on adequacy of the internal financial controls. You see the difference between the controls, internal financial controls were discussed in the keyword kit series. Do check that out. And what all the companies have to give a report on the requirement of adequacy of the internal financial controls for companies other than a one-person company, a small company, or a private company having turnover less than 50 crore and whose aggregate borrowings at any point of the time, if the repayment was done before the last month before the end of the financial year, then also if at any point of the time, if the borrowings were less than 25 crore other than those companies, if it touches 25 crore, then this reporting on adequacy of internal financial controls was applicable. If the turnover also, if it touches 50 crore, this reporting is applicable, and OPC and small companies were not required. And remember, make a note that do check the amendments video. Its small companies turnover limit have been changed. It's 4 crore and turnover is 40 crore. With regards to applicability of the cost records, when the cost records have to be maintained, when a manufacturing entity is having turnover of 35 crore or more, it has to be maintained. And the cost records, cost audit is applicable when its turnover is, if it's a regulated sector, if turnover is 25 crore or more from a company or from the company, and if it's non-regulated company, then the turnover should be 100 crore or more, and from a single product it's 35 crore or more. And regards to the cost audit, when the cost audit is applicable for the bank with regards to any kind of the loan is when the funded exposure is more than 5 crore, then the cost audit is applicable. And with regards to the inspection fees, LLP documents can be inspected, all the incorporation document, names of the partners and such changes in the annual report, and all these documents can be inspected. That is, for the inspection for annual return, the fee is 50,000, and for any extract of any document, 5 rupees per page is the fees. As regards to the audit of receipts and expenditure, where any kind of body or authority which have been substantially financed by the grants or loans by Consolidated Fund of India or any kind of state government or union territory, then what I'm saying is that the authority or the body, it's getting financed by the central government, some sort of government, that is not less than 25 lakhs. That is the minimum 25 lakhs. It's when we say it's substantially financed, when there's a minimum 25 lakhs of grant was given, and that grant is not less than 75% of total expenditure by that. That is that 25 lakhs rupees or that kind of grant amount that was given, that is minimum 75% of the expenditure of the body or the authority, then it's called substantially financed. So they could go for audit of receipts and expenditure, the central government. With regards to restrictions on the shareholdings for any kind of society, when a member of society other than registered society, this restriction on shareholding is not applicable to a registered society. For unregistered society, a member shall not hold a maximum of 20% of the total shares or a value that is more than 1000 rupees, as the member's liability is limited. That's why this restriction has been given. For a registered society, there's no restriction. For other than registered society, a member shall not hold maximum 20% of the total number of shares or a value of 1000 rupees. Remember this 1000 limit with regards to society, we have somewhere to deal with again. And this is the same that we have discussed earlier. The fraud reporting was also the liability or the responsibility of the cost auditor and the secretarial auditor. If they have not done so, there will be a penalty. If it's a listed company, they're liable for a penalty of 5 lakhs. If other than a listed entity, for 1 lakh rupees. And for audit of non-governmental organization, you see an NGO, that is non-government organization, created a trust. When it's a trust and having immovable property worth more than 100 rupees. Yes, you heard that right. That is 100 rupees. This is the snippet of the study material here. This is 100 rupees, not more than 100 rupees. You see the act or year number, that's something around 100 years back, more than 100 years back. They haven't amended till that date, so remember that. So if they have to get registered mandatorily under the trust. And with regards to that, and the audit of multi-state cooperative society, it is where the qualifications of the auditors were the auditors should not be eligible for appointment if they were body corporate or they have been employee of that society, or the member or who is in employment with the society, and a person who is indebted to that or have given a guarantee for amount exceeding 1000 rupees. I said to remember the 1000 rupees and the word society, right? This is where comes here. 1000 rupees if they have indebted, then they are not eligible. And with regards to LLP audit, the accounts of LLP have to be audited whose turnover does not exceed 40 lakh rupees. If it touches 40 lakhs, LLP audit is applicable. Or whose contribution, that's capital contribution, does not exceed 25 lakhs. That is, if it contribution touches 25 lakhs, LLP audit is applicable. Okay, that is when we have to do LLP audit. That is with regards to the monetary limits. And if you haven't watched the time limits also, do watch that, and subscribe to get notified for the audit marathon for the 3-day session for 21, 22 and 23 morning 7 a.m. And bye, happy learning, all the best for your May 2023 examinations.